weekend once again, just to kind of segue from the DeMar Drake beef. The real reason why everyone showed up. I mean, there was a basketball game as well, but the Toronto Raptors retired their first jersey, which was Vince Carter, Vince Sanity. First of all, I want to hear your biggest memory of Vince, because I actually watched just a clip on IG of just like buzzer beater game winners, and it brought me so far back. And I'm like, oh, I remember that game. I remember watching that game. I remember watching that game too. I remember that shot, and we're like 9 years old or something. So it's good to kind of see those, because I forgot how many game winners the man actually had, a lot of game winners for us, and with the Nets too. But what was one of your kind of oldest, fondest memories of Vince when he was a Raptor?
Fondest, man, on the court, I don't. To be honest, I'd be lying to you if I can remember anything like of something I can remember. The two things that
Hmm.
pop out of my mind is the slam dunk competition for sure, um,
Hmm.
and actually what I remember him for, because maybe because I watched it a lot as a kid, because on replay, especially like when YouTube first came out, is that missed shot against Philadelphia that would have allowed us to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. To be
Yeah.
honest, bro, that's what I'm like. I'm not trying to be a hater. It's not me saying that he was a bad player. That's just what comes to my head, because before we won the NBA championship, that was kind of our what if moment. Like, what if we did make it to the Eastern Conference Finals? You know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
that was always my memory of like Vince Carter. Of not to say that he like in a bad way, just in the sense of like, damn, like at that
Yeah.
time it was like, oh, like the Eastern Conference Finals, like we could have
Hmm.
been there. Like beat the Sixers, whatever. Um, but yeah, like that's just one of my memories of Vince Carter still.
Yeah. That's definitely one. That's one of two, and I think it's kind of tied, because that's really the biggest. Before we won the championship, that was Toronto Raptors' biggest moment. So I definitely remember that game. I remember waking up and waiting for the game to come around. It was like a Sunday afternoon game at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. And I remember that shot. And I was like, damn, that was our one chance. We're not making it back here.
That's
We're not
what
making it back here, bro. Because he's
that's what I'm
gone.
saying. It
We're not
was like
making
a
it
what
back.
if. It
Yeah,
was
that
like a
was
what if.
definitely our what if. But then one other game that I remember was when he was actually on the Nets. And then this isn't a Raptor moment anymore. But he came back to Toronto
Oh
and
yeah,
lit us up.
I know,
He
bro. I know.
lit us up. And like those two last 3 pointers overtime and just oh man. He hated us at that. he he hated us. I felt the rage through those shots, through that game. So that's just kind of like my most memorable game of him.
Damn.
Yeah, it was crazy times, man.
But bro, if you're saying that he hated us, right, and the hate was shown in his play, should the Raptors have awarded him by being the first Raptor to have their jersey retired? If because it
Yeah,
seemed like we both hated each other, right?
yeah. I think there's definitely hate, but you know what? I really just think hate is just another version of love. You can't hate someone if you don't love them. You know what I
Fair enough.
mean? We both did each other wrong. He probably did us more wrong than because we're just a city, we're just fans. You know, he didn't put his best foot forward. He demanded a trade, and that was kind of like the first kind of like hate a player kind of trade, like that. I don't recall boos happening before they started booing Vince Carter when he came back here. Like I really
Hmm.
don't recall any other like franchise player getting traded and getting booed. Um, but then like that was really, so he's really a kind of like a pioneer in that sense. But for what he just done for basketball on a whole, like whether you love him, hate him, whatever, you can't ignore what he's done. So it's just like, okay, you really have to, and after all this time, and like what, they're kind of like last minute to do it, because the New Jersey Nets plan to retire his jersey first, and then they're like, let's just do it too. Um, or kind of, I feel like that's kind of like the Kickstarter to what brought them to do it, because they saw that New Jersey was doing it, and we know that like we already know firsthand what Vince Carter has done for Toronto Raptors in basketball, and how we actually got here from Vince to Bosch to DeMar to the championship. Like me and you we seen the whole kind of chain effect, chain reaction, right? So, um, yeah, for that, like you got to give it to him. Plus, it's crazy to think like he really should be one of the best. Like he should be top four. He should be top. He should be top four, top five. If he had the work ethic of like a LeBron or Kobe or even Curry, bro, he would be one of the best. But he'd be neck and neck with Jordan. Like he would be neck and neck in terms of like what type of player they were.
Mm-hmm.
Because the jump shot wasn't really like the hugest thing back in the '90s. Like Jordan barely had one. Like you know what I mean? Like Vince Carter was a better shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's something that he worked on and he got better with time, like if he actually put in that work, not to say that he didn't, but like we just looked at him as like a naturally like he's easily one of the most naturally gifted best basketball players out there. Like that's what I mean to say. Without like all that extra like maintenance and work that they put in, he was given by God like the skills of a true born top tier basketball player, the
Right.
likes of Michael Jordan. That's what I see when I look at Vince Carter. So yeah, man, the man deserves it, bro. 20,000 plus points. Um, like I said, a lot of buzzer beaters. So a lot of these other players that are getting Hall of Fame and stuff, Vince Carter definitely deserves it. And if anything, like for this should be the first Raptor jersey that Toronto does retire. It only is right. It wouldn't be right to do Kyle Lowry first. I don't think so.
Mm. I don't know. I kind of disagree. Um, I do understand that Vince Carter did put the Raptors on the map, if you want to say, when it comes to relevance in the NBA and in Canada.
Hmm.
Um, like I know people like to use the narrative of how that he inspired all these Canadian basketball players that are in the NBA today. Blah blah blah. I don't believe that. I believe no. I think it's a narrative that was created. What I believe.
Yeah,
I think like I think somebody who was born and raised in Toronto, I saw more Kobe fans, more Iverson fans, more
yeah,
Carmelo Anthony fans when he came to the league. You know what I'm trying to
yeah,
say? Like I saw more of those guys. I could see Kobe and those guys being more of an influence to Canadian basketball players than Vince Carter. Again, I'm
for
not trying to
sure.
take anything away from him. I'm just trying to say that like in my mind, I think Kyle Lowry should get his jersey retired first. He wanted to be a Raptor. He won a championship with the Raptors. He was like the backbone of this franchise for a very long time. Vince Carter, he did put us on the map, like I said, to relevancy. But as soon as he left, he didn't give us the opportunity to trade value for him, so we can maybe go up. You know what I'm trying to say? Instead, we went back to the dark ages for a few years. Joey Graham, Rafael Arujo,
Primo pasta.
like Bariani, you know what I'm trying to say? So let's not act like the Raptors didn't have dark ages after he left as well. You know what I'm trying to say? But whatever. I'm not a hater. I'm just saying that like I just don't fall for the narrative that people are saying that he did this, he did that, and like Canadians loved him. When I feel like Canadians loved Kobe Bryant and Allen Iverson just a little bit more.
Yeah, Vince Carter didn't influence me with basketball. It was definitely Kobe and AI, and yeah, like it's definitely a manufactured kind of narrative for Vince Carter for sure. Because yeah, we would have been balling regardless. It just took a little bit more time up
Mhm.
here for us to know how things are gonna done, and I don't think it's really on the back of Vince Carter. Like I would say that for sure. Um, but just as a franchise, like forget the kids and forget all that stuff, the fans. As a franchise, yes, I think he did quite a lot for the franchise to get us somewhere that we've never seen before. And also, um, yeah, don't get me wrong, we did go back, a few years for those few years, probably 4 or 5 years. But I mean, it was a great time. It was a great time to be in Toronto. Still, it was a great time,
Yeah,
and
I
I
hear
was
you.
like 8 or 9.